106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
Hello, so today is day 5 of our 30 days of PM challenge, and we're looking at the 5 Whys framework. So, going well, we have maintained our streak of day 5, and today we're looking at the 5 Why framework, which is a very beginner framework for you as a product manager to understand the root cause of a problem to begin with, right? So you will always, as a PM or in your day-to-day life, come across problems, come across situations, and this 5 why framework is essentially a way for you to figure out the root problem or the root issue that has pertaining to a specific problem and trying to solve for that. So that is essentially what the 5 why framework is. We did cover it previously as well in one of our sessions, so yeah, you can look at that as well. Look through streams yesterday and the day before to learn about essentially what is a PM, what does the PM do from the problems space to the solutions phase. But now we are jumping into now actually looking at a surface level problem and trying to find the root cause of that problem and building features or building business value around it, right? So this framework essentially helps you do that. But to begin with, where did this framework come from, right? So this was actually from Toyota. The founders of Toyota essentially came up with this framework called the 5 Whys framework. There is no reason behind it being like a five whys. It can be 3 whys, it can be 4 whys, but there is no scientific reason for it behind it. But yeah, five is a good starting point, and 5 whys, it also sort of rhymes. So yeah, the 5 why frameworks was from the Japanese organization Toyota and the co-founders essentially came up with the five whys framework, where essentially trying they were hearing issues and complaints regarding within their factory of issues, right? And for a specific issue, you had within a large organization like Toyota assembling multiple vehicles, they needed to essentially figure out how do I help the users or the employees within my organization. So they developed a simple framework to help them answer queries when an issue arises, which is essentially a surface level problem at the moment. So from the surface level problem, they can then figure out why did the problem even occur, try to go down and try to make iterations of it to eventually reach the root cause and try solving it from there. So this is the origins of the five whys framework, and there are multiple resources online that you can read. One of the main resources around starting with why and how asking the question, asking why to begin with is important, was from Simon Sink, who is an entrepreneur, and he's written a book also around the why framework, which is called Start with Why. And here he tells about how great leaders inspire everyone to take action by first looking at the why, because you have three things when you look at a problem, right? A lot of the times you look at the why, you don't look at the why to begin with. A lot of the time is how, and then you look at the what, and then towards the end you think about the why of the problem. So instead of going the usual route where, for example, a issue has occurred, instead of thinking about how did the issue occur and what actually happened due to a result of that issue, and then figuring out why this issue happened, and then which is done in the marketing scheme of things and everything else, you essentially, Simon tells us to focus on the why of the problem instead of looking at the other answering other why, what and the hows of a specific problem, right? So this was his book, and this was more towards the leadership side of things, but it essentially applies to all, for PMs especially, because they are looking at problems and surface level issues arising from all corners and from multiple stakeholders that they listen to. But yeah, to begin with, you should always focus on the why, then on the what and the how a specific issue or an issue has been surfaced on top. So this is a great resource for you to refer and look at. You also have this golden circle principle, which essentially uh, is also from Simon, where he talks about how to essentially use this principle to solve your problems and to always start with the why. And this applies to not just product, it applies for sales and marketing and hiring and leadership in general, where, for example, if you take example of Apple, if Apple were to sell, he gives this example in his TED talk also when talking about the golden circle, where for a user to prefer Apple is because their marketing always mentions about the why to begin with. Not, they don't start with the what their product is. They don't talk about the features of the product and how it is built, and where the parts are sourced from. It always talks about the value that an Apple product delivers, which is essentially the why. Which in terms of their smartphones, they talk about the camera, the quality, and the amount of work you can get done, essentially making you think about the why it is really important to consider Apple smartphone to be your next smartphone of choice, instead of talking about specs and details and other details that other competitors are currently doing in the market. So this is one way of an example essentially of the golden circle, and thinking about why predominantly over the other questions of what and how. So yeah, this is not real, this ties back to our original topic for today, which is the five whys, which makes us focus on the why of the issue. So let's check this content and see where it goes. And yeah, to begin with, where's the problem? To figure out the problem, you need to answer a series of questions, and this framework essentially helps you to do that. But and here we have a series of a problem statement or a surface level issue that has arisen and us trying to solve for it. Here the example is or the problem statement is users are experiencing frequent crashes and slow performance in a web application. So now how you as a user or a PM who has been introduced to this problem statement or surface level issue reported from a bug recently on your platform, now where do you go from here and figure out the root cause of this issue, right? So the problem statement is a little vague, I understand, but yeah, let's try the five whys from here. So users are experiencing frequent crashes. Okay, why is that? Why are they experiencing? Maybe because we've deployed something that didn't work out or that has failed our build process, making the platform or the app crash. Uh, that can be reason. Okay, why did we push buggy code, or why did we not scale our infrastructure, right? We pushed buggy code because we didn't have we wanted to meet our deadlines to deliver the request to the customer, and we didn't have proper time to test the application before making it into production. Now you understand that there was a time constraint here, which let's try and figure out uh, again a level deeper from here. Okay, we didn't get enough time to debug or test the feature before making it into production. Why did we not to plan ahead, right? Why did we not presume that this feature and the timelines that we already knew were supposed to be delivered, but we were still not able to accommodate resources appropriately? Can be on based on the discussion, a few options could be that the resource that was the owner of that specific feature was not available on the day this build was pushed, and another stakeholder gave the go ahead, which led to all the, I mean, surface level issue to arise. Okay, why did, so here now you have, in just four whys you have come up to a conclusion that okay, the resources were not allocated properly, the timelines and uh, the schedule was not managed properly, and the resources were not aligned properly for the issue to arise. So now you have a root cause. So now you know the surface level issue happened because there was a process issue here, because management was not able to figure out the right resources, and there was approval when there wasn't really an approval from the actual owner. So now you have the reasons why the issue happened. You understand you need to improve the process, and you need to improve communication to be improved across teams when a build is going live. So now you now have a clear picture of the problem, as to you had the surface level issue of just bugs crashing, but now with the RCA you have the root cause, which you can then make it part of the process, which at the end didn't really turn out to be a product issue. It came out to be, for example, a process issue instead of a product issue. uh, so that is how you come to an RCA, and this process, probably once you implement it properly after discussion with all the stakeholders, it can probably help you to not have this problem surface again. So yeah, this is the way how you do this sort of thing, and there will be multiple exercises that you can perform. For example, a specific feature that can be around Google. Let's take Google Photos for example, right? And if you're trying to build tags, add the functionality of tagging images within Google Photos. Okay, you came across this problem that users are looking are in and are interested into helping having tag the ability to tag these features. Why are they now use the 5 eyes framework to come to the root cause, right? So why do they need tags? To organize images better. And then you can also from there you can go, okay, they need to organize images better, can we auto tag these images? If the answer comes to be yes or no, I mean, in case of yes, okay, what do we need to make this achievable, right? How do we do this? Should we look at other stakeholders, other competitors, or other image and file explorer solutions that have done tagging? uh, let's look at that. Then you also come you from this 5i you eventually come to a conclusion that people want to organize their data better or organize their images better, because and one way they which is familiar to them is the tag. So now you can also tie back the root cause to the original problem, where the problem was having the ability to tag. But why really tag? Because users want to organize information, and to organize information, is tagging really the best ability? Okay, so we now know the problem. Now thinking of solutions, is tagging is allowing users to tag individual images out of their hundreds of images is the way to do it? Not really, because users would expect after a point for images to be automatically tagged. Okay, so now in order to reduce the time for a user to tag these images, should we just build an engine on our platform which auto tags these images based on a few attributes, based on probably the face that is present in the image, the background, or the landscape of the image? Yes, and then you start iterating and building the solution. So now through the 5 why framework, you had a surface level problem, you understood what to build, you figured out the root cause of it. In this example of Google Photos, it was organizing data and having ability to search and store data in a better way, so that users can look back at their memories easily just by searching for a specific tag and having all the images populated for them to look at. So, and then you from the now that the problem is clear, you figure out the options for you to build and what's the best way forward. So this is a very useful framework if you combine. Always, it has to become natural after a certain point. It shouldn't really be a checklist item. It can be to begin with, once you're while you're getting started, but it has to become just second nature for you to always ask why as a PM, and it becomes part of the job very quickly as you start delivering features and start going from there. But yeah, the 5 whys is essentially for you to look at problems, surface level problems, figure out root causes of those, and then scale and go from there to make more progress. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we got, in this example they've given the problems, this problem statement. The final issue, or the RCA that they came to, was the users were experiencing frequent crashes because of absence of proactive monitoring and lack of visibility. So yeah, every user or every stakeholder can come to different conclusions, and it's also important to, in these whys, go through all the possible scenarios when you're looking, concluding or coming to a root cause analysis. In this case it was monitoring, in my case it was process reform to be done. And here the root cause is the absence of proactive monitoring and lack of visibility into user growth, which and infrastructure, resulting in poor app performance. Which really, when you do an RC of, in a real scenario, if I'm talking about, this really isn't a very nuanced root cause, right? Because how is an application being built without having any monitoring or having any sort of load balancing, so to say, to meet the user demands, right? As an organization or as a platform, if you are, for example, a SaaS, B2B, or even a B2C platform, you are expected to have the ability to handle user growth. And if you, for example, also have like an upper ceiling, where if the limit is reached, you automatically page uh, engineering, or have an alert either through Slack or whatever medium, or via email, for an alert to be generated for you to then take action. If not automatically, manually is also fine. But this sort of root cause analysis is not really the right root cause for a problem like this, right? Because okay, you should have always had monitoring, just Google Analytics also would do. But as the program grows, you will probably have dedicated log monitoring systems like Logz and others, looking at every action being performed and having a trail of all these actions performed, just in terms of even compliance, and also in terms of making sure changes being made are not being made randomly by any user, and only the respective users are allowed to make actions or perform actions or make calls on the platform. But yeah, there can be multiple root causes based on how you interpret the surface level problem and then take action from those. But yeah, you have to be very careful as for the root cause, to also consider all the scenarios possible. Come to a root cause only after considering all the scenarios through the 5 whys. 5 whys can be more, can be less, if you're able to come to a conclusion, but 5 is a good number to begin with and have better clarity. So yeah, this is the 5 whys framework. I think we've also resource attached, which is essentially an extension, probably, yeah, it is an it does talk of the it does talk of the same issue here. So the issue is servers crashed. Why did the server crash? Because we pushed in a new API. Okay, mm, we pushed the API. Okay, did we not test it? Why did we not test it? Right? Because we launched a feature, probably didn't use the API correctly. Okay, why did we launch a feature without even having the confirmation that the API is not working or is not used correctly? We have a because we had a new engineer who didn't understand how the API worked, but had pushed the changes to production. Why? Because we never trained him to use it, but he still. So yeah, because and why did we not train the engineer? Because the manager wanted to give him on production with minimal training, which sounds to be like a process problem again, but also having checks and balances every time a push or a request is merged into your code base and goes through the pipeline to production. I mean, it shouldn't really go to production uh, unless it has gone through all the gates, your release gates for, I mean, QA to be tested and validated and approved, and then pre-prod and moving into production. But yeah, since we have blah blah blah, I hope we are now on the same page. So yeah, these are a few scenarios and a few conditions on how the 5 why framework works and how you can essentially use it to solve or come to root cause analysis of a problem and solve it from there. But yeah, thank you. And yep, we'll meet tomorrow for day 6. I'll schedule the live stream and uh, I mean, bring folks